Hey there, this is Brent here as personal coach. In this channel, the main subject of discussion is the actualization of your purpose, of you aligning yourself with your life's purpose and acting on it and manifesting your highest potential. So if that kind of thing is up your alley, then consider sticking around. Actually, and that reminds me, I always forget to do this in videos. I'd be so grateful if especially if you've been getting value out of this so far, if you consider hitting like and subscribe and commenting. If you were to do that, then it would allow me to reach a way bigger audience and hopefully help them get on their life's purpose. Really, all of this is angled at just, assisting humanity through these times. These are easily the most complex and strangest times we've ever been in as a species. I think we can agree on that. And even though, of course, there have been other really difficult times, this is a very trying time for us now. And it really seems that we all have to band together. We really, really need to all work together if it's our desire to pull through and really make it out of these better than before. So that is the bee's knees. A little adjustment here, and I'm going to move my cat. She's cool. All right, so what I'm going to do is, in this video, I'm stoked because I have this fresh, hot off the press insight that I want to share with you. That is, it's deeper than it's ever gone before, and I think it's a missing piece that I've needed it, and a lot of us have needed it, and I think it will really ka-chunk everything into place so that you can take teachings like these and increase your productivity, but also access your wellness in a very deep way, so that you can go about your life in such a way that you're in enjoyment, you're having a good time, and it's successful and it's fun, and you're not in too much of a hurry to get anywhere, but also you're at maximum output and maximum proliferation. Again, if that sounds all right with you. So in previous videos, you would hear me talk a lot about just how to cultivate self-discipline and how to get yourself to do what you need to do. And I'd have a handful of techniques on how to do that. One of them, probably my most central one, is what I call the self-integrity principle, where you commit to making a promise to yourself. Like, for example, I promise I'll not eat a certain food for a certain period of time, or I'll go for runs every day, or whatever it is. And then you make that promise, and then you keep the promise, and then you're keeping the promise that you make to yourself establishes a relationship with yourself that kind of allows you to kind of trust yourself a little bit more going forward. And so that'd be one way of cultivating self-discipline. But and so the majority of my speaking to you here, the majority of my work on myself, the majority of my work with my one-on-one clients has revolved around this type of principle, the principle of getting yourself to do what you need to do so that you can achieve the success that's there for you to achieve to be your best self. And it sounds pretty straightforward, right? But what I found, embarrassingly enough, is that I would sit here and I would preach this kind of thing, but I would find that I wouldn't be doing it. My heart would be in the right place. My intention is there. For example, I would, tell myself I'll go for runs in the morning, and then I'd begin the week by nailing it, and then later on the week I'd stop nailing it, and I would fail myself in the end. And it's like, okay, well, what's going on with that? And it became clear to me at a certain point that it's unsustainable in the long run to apply force upon myself to do what I think I should be doing. And especially when it comes to work and career, I want to be a person who puts out a lot of videos, say. I would like to put up more than I do, and I'd like to put up more articles, more blog posts, more Reddit posts, and so forth. And I only put out kind of a mediocre amount. And in the meantime, there are people out there who are just pumping out tons and tons of content, and I want to be one of those people. And so, the question in my life lately has been how do I do that? And so I've been fortunate enough to kind of create a certain. Okay, so two things have been happening simultaneously. You know, just as I tell you the story, I'll tell you my story, and then I'll kind of teach you how to take the lesson and, you know, apply it in your life. Two things have been happening simultaneously. One is that I've been able to actually accumulate a lot of success. Like, I've been able to grow a big client base for myself in my coaching practice that's brought a certain income in and has allowed me to not have to work so hard, and I can kind of coast on it. And then at the same time, I've been sort of just intuitively getting a lot of messages and a lot of teachings that I've been just getting this intuitive hit to trust a little bit more in the universe, or to say to trust in the Tao, as in like the Tao Te Ching, to trust in guidance, the intuitive guidance that I'm receiving on a constant basis, that all of us are constantly receiving on a constant basis. And there's certain wisdom in following the guidance that comes to you, but the catch is that often the guidance that we receive will bring us through our fears. It will cause us to move outside of our comfort zone and to do things that that would run contrary to our conditioning, our say like rules that we were brought up in our household when we were children, and cultural conditioning, cultural taboos and whatnot. And so my guidance was encouraging me to do very little, to actually to chill, to actually to be rather lazy, you could say. And so viewed from a certain perspective, I'm not being lazy because I still have my sessions and I show up for my sessions and I do my work. But at the same time, I've really taken my foot off of the gas pedal in the sense of like doing output and marketing and, these other types of things. And so it's like a little bit nerve-wracking, but I've been like continuing with this experiment of just trusting in that guidance, trusting, in the universe that's kind of nudging me to just, again, take my foot off the gas pedal and just sort of coast a little bit. And so as I was doing that, something else started to emerge in my awareness, and it kind of came from the background. It sort of came into the foreground the way these things typically do. And it was just this, it kind of came as a vague sense. I couldn't even really articulate it at first, but it kind of felt like a vague sense of like a wall, like just hitting a wall that, I would use all of my different super duper meditative spiritual techniques, and I would really go for it and try to dissolve this wall or get beyond it. But the harder I try, the harder it pressed back, and it kind of became clear at a certain point that I couldn't get past this wall. And so that became the next step. The next development for that was me just kind of sitting at the wall and just kind of being there and just being where I am. And there was a certain word that started to emerge in my consciousness, and this is where we're getting into the last 24 hours or so. A certain word started to emerge in my consciousness, which is futility. Futility. What I'm doing is futile, impossible, not possible, just immovable object. And what I realized was that this sense of futility, it's not new. It's actually been in my experience this whole time. But what I would do is, as I would speak to you here, I would hold it as my dirty little secret, that despite, all of these different techniques and ways that we have to create success for ourselves and to accomplish and grow and evolve, that at the very end, there's a certain futility in all of it. So you might be wondering, well, what's futile? What is not possible? And I realized that it's that as you and I have been going about our attempts at self-improvement, self-growth, and everything that's involved in actualizing our potential, what we're also doing is, in our imagination, we see a life and an experience that we're trying to get into, a future that we're trying to get into. But the thing is that it's always over there. It's always like in our imagination. We're always trying to get there. That's how you hear people saying phrases like, "Oh, I hope I get there one day." That'd be good. I hope I get there. Or they talk about like, say, the future, like, event, one day I'll be again there. And what all of us are doing, or what many of us are doing, it seems, is we are attempting to escape our reality. Because if we're trying to get there, it's like we're trying to exit here so that we can get there. You see. But whenever any success that comes to us, it'll only ever come in a moment just like this one. It'll come on a Monday or a Tuesday. It'll be in a now moment, just like this one that we're sitting in right now. And it bears reminding that of the deep lesson that there is only now. Like, practically speaking, we plan for dates and this upcoming Monday and Tuesday and whatever, but everything that will ever happen in the future only comes into this now. Like this, the planet spins, in such a way that, the sun, it creates the illusion of the sun setting, rising and setting. But it's just the sun stays right there and the planet just spins. It just spins in this now moment forever and ever and ever. It just spins. It's just always now. And it's always here. In the sense of, I might be in this room and I'll go over to that room, and, I'm in this location, I'll go over to that location. But wherever I go, I will find myself there. Wherever I am, it will always be here, and it will always be now. There's no escaping that. And that's what reality is. Like, boiled down, that's the essence of reality, here and now. And there's no escaping reality. And yet, all of us are trying to escape reality. And on one hand, that's what Netflix is for. That's what Netflix... We don't, obviously we don't escape it, but we kind of evacuate our consciousness and kind of get into a story, or, reading a book, or, or getting super wasted allows us to kind of like, withdraw our consciousness, from the here and now. But no matter what, there's no escaping the here and now. And that is the deep futility behind all of our attempts at self-growth. So would you be willing to sit with that with me here? And to know that, to truly know that we can amass all of the success we could ever want. We could, millions of dollars and millions of followers. It is an absolute option for you and me. But you and I both know that despite what type of success or accomplishment we amass to ourselves, it will feel exactly like this. It'll be right here. And you know what it's like, don't you? You have had the experience of wanting something, and perhaps even like really wanting something and spending a lot of time going for it. And then you get it. And like up until now, you probably really thought that getting this thing would kind of like, it would get you somewhere. Like it would really like, it would fundamentally change the quality of your consciousness or your existence in some important fundamental way, and it never ever does. Never. And then if there's a lack of insight, we'll assign it to the next thing. But I think you and I are beyond that, where we both know that like we can accumulate and accumulate and accumulate, and it'll always just be here and now. There will always be the next thing to go for, and there will always be where we are now. Would you be willing to swallow that pill? I like, when I talk with a lot of my clients, they're like, okay, Brett, like that sounds good, but like, what do I do about this? And so we can get into that now. It's very simple. Like it begins with your will. Are you willing to accept that? Are you willing to accept that there's no escaping this reality? And possibly, even through death, there's no escaping this reality, because it will still be here and now from the perspective of whatever your consciousness is after death. And if you don't believe that way, that's fine. Then it's not an issue for you. But yeah, so it'll always be here and now, and there will be no escaping here and now. Would you be willing to allow that? Would you be willing to set up camp and make yourself comfortable? Because if you were to say yes, you can even go for it. I can't hear you. Oh, I just heard you. There you go. Good job. You know, if you were to say yes right now, then what you'd be doing is you would be aligning your will with this deep truth. And then you would come in, and then as you do that, you'll come into this deep awareness that all success is just a rearranging of different molecules in different circumstances. And when that's there, what's kind of cool is you're still utterly free to go for these things, but there's a lot more detachment. There's no sense of need or urgency, which I discussed in my earlier video. So I think that's what I came here to say. I don't think I have much more than that. I think I'd really like to emphasize, I really want to emphasize this futile nature, because there's something really like kind of scary, but really fantastic about just being like, it's futile. Utterly futile to think that there's anything substantial besides this here and now. That's all. Thank you for watching. I wish you all the best. All people, everybody, yourself, everybody is entitled to their first coaching session for free. And so if you want, you can get a session with me, and I can take you through this a little bit more, like I can kind of take you through it like a little bit more than I can just, through a video interface. I can actually help you increase your productivity and your proliferation if you wish. I can help you get clarity on your situation and your potential and how to manifest it. Just hit me up. I'll have a link in the description below with my calendar. You can book yourself in, and that is all. Take care.